In these days, most word building and writing tools are subscription-based, which means they have all your information on the cloud. But what if your world was actually yours, not an account you rent? Well, that's why ForgeTales was born, the free offline word building and writing app. We are Sergio and Gabriel, and we built the tool we wanted to use. In this video, we'll show you everything from how to download it to how to create a real world with it. To download it, you have to go to ForgeTales website, ForgeTalesstudio.com, that will leave the link in the description. As you can see, there's a large download button for your OS, but if you are to select the installer, you have to go to this button right here in the upper right corner. As you can see, there's different options. ForgeTales is available for Windows, Mac and Linux. You click which one do you want. Once you download it, you simply need to run and complete the installation process, and once installed, we can open the app and start creating our world. Once you open the app for the first time, the first step is to select our language. After that, we'll begin with onboarding, which will create our first project. First of all, we have to select the genre for our project, for example, fantasy. Then we assign a name for this project. If you're unsure, you can always add or change it later. Finally, we enter our name, which we'll use to sign our work. And it's simple as that, no login or accounts required. And as you can see, once you finish the onboarding, there's a short tutorial showing the different interfaces. I'll skip that now, since we'll explain it in this video. If you want to edit a project that has already been created, we will enter it and click on Edit Project. We can modify the name, the genre, the colors, the style. We can even modify the height and the width of the book. The project preview will always be on the left, so you can see how it looks both on the cover and the spine. We also have the option to hide the D&D campaign button. We'll do that for this video, since we will be making another one dedicated to D&D players. Now, we are going to move to a project with content, so the explanations have examples and are easier to understand. This is the homepage of your project. Here you can create a synopsis of your world and a preview with the most important elements that make it up. You can change the display mode of the grid, whether you want the image to predominate or to show more information. To change the layout, add or remove items is as simple as clicking in Edit Layout. Here you can order them, add cards, and delete them. Now we are going to the characters section. To create a new character, you have to click on New Character and you'll see different options. You can use a completely blank character sheet, the default template, or templates you've already created yourself. For this video, we'll use the default template. Character sheets have fixed fields, which are the character's name, the character's image, group, role, tags, analysis. You can remove all other sections or add any sections you like. To delete a section, simply hover over it and click on the delete button. To add sections, you have the different options at the bottom of the screen. You can add stats, text, quote, image, PDF, table, and custom. And to rearrange it, simply drag and drop by this button and place it wherever you want. On the right side, we have the table of contents for quick access to the different sections. We also have these options that we'll explain them later in this tutorial. Once we have the character information, we click Save to avoid losing our progress. Additionally, at the top of the screen, you'll find the character's timeline. Here you can create different events and add more depth to the character. To create a new event, simply click on Add Live Event, enter the info you want, and click on Save. You also have the option to export your character's info in Markdown format, and you can also save this sheet as a template. But if you want to know more about templates, leave a comment and we'll make a dedicated video. To organize characters, you can create groups, which are these folders here. It's as easy as click on this button, customize the way you want, and click on Save. To add characters to the group, you have the option to drag and drop them into the folder, or from the character sheet itself. You can select the group you want, click, and click on Save. And as you can see, the character is already in the group. To quickly find your characters, you have the search option, the filters by any characteristic, and the sorting function. You also have a switch to change between character only, view mode, group only, and everything together. Finally, we have the options to import characters in Markdown format and to bulk export all of our characters in the same format too. Once we have our characters, we can connect them. In the left column, we can see all the unrelated characters. To add a character relation, simply add the character to the chart, click on it, and click on the other character you want to relate. Now you have to choose the type of relationship you want. You can choose directionality, type, or create your custom one. Once the relationship is created, it will be reflected on the character sheet, where you can also edit it. Let's check it out. As you can see, the relationship is here, and we can modify it. And it's reflected in the chart too. We can also create multiple charts. We'll explain family trees later. And also, you can view both charts simultaneously. Now we look at the Moodboard to set the vibe for our project. This interface is very simple. On the right, we have the toolbar with the different tools, such like Note, Drawing, Image, Colors. Beside the basic functionalities, we also can link characters, right here, and wiki items. It's simple as click on link character and select the one you want, and also with the wiki item. To organize your Moodboard, you have the option to create a Moodboard within another Moodboard with this button right here. You can put a name, for example, test. We can enter this Moodboard. So we have a Moodboard inside another Moodboard. Once you have your Moodboard created, you can export it in the following formats. Now we look at the plots, where we'll create the events that shape our world. To create a new event, simply double click on the canvas. Now we can name it and add a date to it. The date can be synchronized with the calendar, which we'll see later, or we can create a custom date that doesn't depend on our calendar, right here. Finally, we can describe the event itself with this description, and we can assign characters and wiki items that are involved in this event. Once our events have been created, we can connect them. And once we have our canvas finished, we can export in the different formats. Now it's time for the calendar. The first time you enter, you'll see an option to create your calendar. Let's get started. First of all, we have the option to follow a template or create it from scratch. For this tutorial, we'll do it from scratch. Now we have to define the current year of our world, for example 2026. Then the days that make it up a week, this for example. And the months of the year. For the months, we can select the days for each month and the type of the month. After defining the calendar structure, it's time to look at the celestial bodies. Here we can define the moons that will orbit our world. We can choose its color, its shadow color, this one for example, its cycle, and the offset of its cycle start. Finally, we have the climate and environment of our world. Here we can define the planet's orbit, right here, and the climate it's subjected to, either through a preset, right here, or linking to a wiki location. Once we have created our calendar, we can place our previously created events on their corresponding date. And if we click on the event, we can modify all the features that we previously defined on the canvas view. If we hover over the weather, we can see its details, just as we can over the moon. We also have the option to hide the weather icons and to edit everything we define during the calendar creation process. We also have the option to delete it. It's simple as that. The wiki section is very similar to the character section, so we'll show the differences. At the top, you'll find the default categories. If you like to add a category, simply click right here. And as you can see, you can add the categories you need. For example, test, with its subcategories. And we have it right here. Of all the categories, only one behaves differently, the families category. The big difference is that in families, we'll create the family trees that we can observe in characters connections. We enter our family and click the family trees icon. Here we can create the families we want simply by clicking where we want to add the relationship, we select the type, and we select the character we want to relate. And as with the plots and Moodboard, we can also export it, and we can select if we want the relationships to be visible or not. Once we have created our family tree, we can go to character connections. Here we can display their family tree. As you can see, they give us the options to select which families we want to display. This is very useful because if we have different families that have relations between them, we can display it and see it like this. We'll conclude this tutorial with the functionality to share info between projects. This feature is very useful if you have trilogies that share character, world elements, anything. From the project where we want to share the information, we have to click on this button, and this menu will appear. Here we will select the destination project and the info we want to share. This, for example. We also have the option to select if we want to link. This means that this element, if it's updated in either project, will be updated in both of them, or just a snapshot of the current information. And we click on share. Now we can see how all this information is shared between these projects. So you can see it's linked. And basically that's all for this first tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and if you found it helpful, we'd appreciate a like so we can help more people. More videos are coming, including the Atelier tutorial and more specific ones. So, until next time.